you're going to rest tonight. We set our faith to it in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. It's supposed to be really chilly tomorrow or overnight, so we have these flyers, open heaven flyers out there. Please take one. Please take a picture of it. Send it to all your friends if you can. We have it on the board, the Lions board in town over there by the school. And we had told them the 5th through the 9th, and they put the 2nd. And we're like, So we thought, should we call and make a big deal? Are they going to climb up the ladder again? Probably not in the cold. So we're like, well, all right, we'll just let it go. But always check the website on things anyway, double check it. But Open Heavens is coming. If you know any children that you want to get to this event, Farmer Tom and his wife Janet are going to be with us. And they know how to rock the flock when it comes to kids. He sets a barn up. He's got puppets, the whole thing, and just really teaches the Word of God. He's really good. And so that'll be going through the whole Open Heavens. And so get your kids out to that, or your nephews and nieces or whatever. But we're going to try to see if we can carpool as often as we can to get out there. We are going to run the bus Saturday night. So it'll be coming down from Mora, but then it's going to stop in front of TBO for anyone who wants to come out to Word of Life. I think we're going to have soup and sandwiches. Is that what we decided, Bunny? So we don't have room there because of all the events and the Ignite room being set up for the night and everything. But we'll just come in and grab a cup of soup and a sandwich, and, if you don't get a chance to eat or whatever, then that way you got something warm in your belly. And so, but I want to encourage you that the bus will be out here, and I'll be making more announcements about that. We are here this Saturday night having service. Yay! But then when Open Heavens is on, we're over there, okay? And so call and see. And we also want to become that. If we have people coming from Mora, we need to let people know, hey, can I get a ride or whatever? You never want to be demanding on somebody. But if they're already coming and they have room for you or whatever, do it. Ask for a ride. There's people coming from Cambridge now, more people. Some need rides from North Branch. We're trying to figure that out because the bus can't always run. But we want to get as many people there as possible. Alice, you usually need a ride, don't you, to get to Word of Life? So, yeah. So there's that. And then what else? What else I got up my sleeve? And then also the week of Open Heavens, of course, we're not having hope dealers because we'll be over there for that night and getting some hope up in our souls. Anyway, so that night I really want to be sensitive to see how many people we can get there. This Friday night, looks like I just got a text right during that worship song. It looks like Al, the bus driver, is going to be able to bring the bus here, and I don't know if he's going to be able to run up. He might. We got to get some people down from Mora and get them on the bus here, and then see who wants to meet out front to go to Calvin Woods. Calvin Woods is in Fridley, and we want to get down there by 7 because that's when the service starts, and then it ends around 9, so he says. They minister very much like we do. It's like, well, you don't know. But that's the plan, right? 7 to 9. There's going to be worship and just a good time in God. And if you don't have a positive place to be on New Year's Eve, that would be the place to go, right? So if you're able to drive and carpool with some people, that'd be great. We also want to let everybody know that we can to get them on that bus. It'd be nice to take 22 people, I think, is what fits on there. And I already warned him. I'm like, I'm coming. We're going to bring a load of people. And so we are going to crash your party. So I'm excited about that. He will probably be coming on a Tuesday and the Saturday night in February, just so you know, so you keep your eyes open for that. I think that's enough advertisements for tonight. But wait, there's more. If you order now, I'll throw in a free. No, but slices it, dices it, does julienne fries. Let's turn our Bibles, if you have them, to Matthew chapter 8. And just kind of hold on that. there, just so we know we're close to Matthew chapter 8. I've had some more questions come in, and I always take the time, if I can, to address those questions. And one of them was about procrastination. The other one was about rejection. So procrastinating is the thought of putting something off. So give me number one reason in your mind why you would put something off. Lazy. Fear. You know, fear can make you lazy. Yep. Fear something long enough, you'll have every excuse to just, it's too hard. It's too much, right? What's another one? Not knowing how to do something. Too busy. Commitment. So procrastinating, in the way that this is the question. It wasn't like, what is procrastination? Is why does it get worse after using, right? And why is it really bad when you are using? Well, when you are using, you have no sense of time. You have no sense of structure. The brain's all over the place. If it's high on something that's, like meth or something like that. If it's high on something that's a downer, it's like, what? It's Tuesday? Huh? Right? Like pot will do that to you, like, whoa, I didn't know I had a doctor's appointment this morning, right? It's that kind of like, oh. So it'll make you in that way. But say, but I've been off of something for 6 months. I've been off of something for a year. Yeah, but if the brain's been trained in that, it's harder to not procrastinate if you have a brain that's trained in that. What if you've never done drugs and you have a really excited brain? Right? Or you've been traumatized and there's been so much fear that it was like you were on meth. Because that's really what they compare the brain to. If you take a child and you traumatize them over and over and they never use drugs at all, their brain looks very similar to the brain of somebody who has been doing heroin for years. It's intense, right? It's very similar because there was so much adrenaline, so much of whatever, it kind of killed off different things or damaged different areas of the brain or wired it all crooked, right? And then you kind of have to redo it. So sometimes we'll go, I don't know why I can't set something and stick to it. So procrastination is broken by doing small things and sticking to the small things. It's never by like, well, that's it. I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. But I'm going to set these amazing, grandiose goals that are just through the roof. And it's going to, I don't know, I'm going to work out this many times a day and I'm going to go here. Well, you're already set yourself up. You're going to fail that one right now. But procrastination can be broken by putting your toothbrush back in the holder. So one of the things I've learned to do is, and I'm still learning it because I still got people in the house, is when you're dealing with, raising children or whatever, instead of saying, why didn't you put that back? That interrupts the brain where it doesn't really like, now I'm afraid of mom, so I'll put it back because I'm afraid of mom. That doesn't mean when they get out on their own, though, that they're actually going to follow through on that. So I've been using a phrase. The Lord just gave me a phrase like, hey, you didn't finish that thought. If it was a thought for you to take your shoes out, then finishing that thought would be to put them back. It's kind of like you ever, when they're trying to teach kids how to write a story or something like that, big part that's really important is to know when to write the sentence and do I put a question mark or a period at the end? You have to finish the thought. Right? Right? It's cold outside. Period. Right? Or X, if that's how you're feeling, like, did you walk here? Okay, because that would be a double explanation, So there's something like that, right? But you finished the thought. It was like, I want you to have the whole feeling and the complete understanding. When we procrastinate, we already have not, we plan to just, what they call it, rambling on when someone just writes. Sometimes I'll text like that. If I'm in the middle of something and I'm like, I got to get to this person, and I'll do it with this hand all by itself, and it's like, hope that made sense. I don't know. And then I send it. But there isn't periods and exclamation points or commas. You're not going to get that. So it's like, You just ran that whole thing all together. Well, that's a big no-no in English class, right? Because we don't talk like that, hopefully not, because then we'd keep going like this and there would be no period at the end of the sentence and I'd have a hard time taking a breath because we're going on, right? And then you can say a phrase without, and you add an explanation point. It means something different than it does as if you just have a period at the end, you know? Like it's cold outside versus it's cold outside, stating a fact, versus like, I really feel this. So part of that training to understand is if we're going to break procrastination, is that a good plan to do that? That means we have to finish the thought. So here's one. When you're in a hurry and you're at Walmart and you got the cart and you're unloading, the kids are like, come on, Mom, let's go. And you have all that going on and you just push the cart to the side. When there's a little thing right there where you're supposed to put the cart in, that little thingy, right? You didn't finish the thought. They really don't appreciate that we didn't finish the thought, right? And vehicles don't appreciate it, especially in the summertime, because it gets windy. All of a sudden it goes, boo, and it always finds a new truck or something. It's like, no, I got to aim for something newer. I don't like to run into old cars. You know, it just has a mind of its own, and it wants to smash into it. So, and that all comes from not finishing the thought. So we don't want to get in so big a hurry, we can't finish the thought. We want to recognize if there's fear, like someone said, fear is a big reason to not finish the thought. Being controlled. Always being used to someone controlling you. And then someone asks you, well, what do you want to do today? You're like, I don't, whatever you want to do. That's the brain that already says, I don't come up with stuff and I don't finish it. Because if I do, there's going to be trouble. Somebody's going to be mad. There's going to be some kind of backlash on it. So to make an exact statement, you know, like I've said before, if I don't want the answer that my husband's going to give, then I better not ask the question. Because he's going to do it, and he's going to close it, and he's going to finish it, and it's going to have a period at the end. Fact. Right? And so... and it used to irritate, but now I find comfort in it. I'm like, just settle this. Sometimes we are that couple that like, I don't know, where do you want to go to eat? Well, wherever you want to go to eat. No, serious, but wherever you want to go. And we'll get caught in this, and I'm like, just call it. Could you just call it? And then he'll be like, all right, this, right? And then we'll go there. Because otherwise we're stuck in this thing, right? And so sometimes exact statements are pretty good. But when we make an X-Acto knife decision, and it cuts, we make a big statement, and then we don't have follow-through. The first person, remember I've said before, that we resent out of that is ourselves. Because we promised something that we didn't follow through on. And now I don't like myself even more than I didn't like myself before because I lied to me. So it's best not to make those statements unless you've already got the plan of how you're going to follow through and bring it to close. Okay? So if you're coming down off a drug, and down to me is a year later. Right? It takes a long time to heal the brain. Your brain is the same component like soft butter or tofu. So you just touch the brain. If you just open somebody's head and just touch it and close it back up, that's brain damage. That's how soft your brain is. I don't even know how they operate in those settings because, man, you can mess some stuff up, right? But at the same time, when we've been through something that we know our brain has to be rewired, it's a very delicate thing, too, and we have to give ourselves grace to rewire the brain. And how you do that if you're a procrastinator is like, wait, hold a second. Someone's going, come on, we got to go. He's like, no, I got to put my toothbrush back. And they're like, oh, come on, right? Because, for some people, like, oh, that's annoying. Just let it lay there. No, I'm practicing finishing a thought. Pick some things like that actually finishes the thought. See how many days you can go with that being finished. And you'll think, that is so stupid. No, it actually regrows the brain. It regrows it. And you will find that you will start to actually feel, there'll be a powerful feeling. They'll be like, I know that this is going to get finished. And if I'm confident about my toothbrush, I'm also going to be confident about my socks. And if I'm confident about my socks, I'm also, when Pastor Mary asked me, are you going to show up? And I say, yes, I'm going to follow through. Or I'm going to say, I haven't settled that one yet. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes people have the hardest time saying something in the middle to give yourself some grace, but it's even worse if you have to say, no, actually, I'm not coming. You can't say that. She's not going to like me. She's not going to just say no. Let your no be your no, and let your yes be your yes. It's all part of finishing your thought. So, how many of you were raised where people finished your thought for you? A lot. Like, you kids, this room is a pigsty, blah, blah, blah. And then you're in there for like an hour, and they just come in and clean it for you. Right? So you learn that, like, well, then I'm going to take longer the next time. Because if I take longer the next time, she'll for sure come in and do it. Or if I whine or I do whatever. Well, now we're purposefully saying, I am going to procrastinate because I'm going to move someone else to do my responsibility. The word responsibility means you're supposed to respond with your ability. Right? So you don't ask a 2-year-old, you get off a plane and you got 5 luggages. You don't say to the 2-year-old, go get the luggage off the carrier, right, as it's coming down. No, because they don't have the ability. So how can they respond? They might respond, but the ability is not there for the follow-through. They'll get sucked in the thing and be winding around on it, trying to get it off, right? So when we respond with our ability, we clearly have to look like, what is my ability level? Don't commit to stuff that's way out farther than where you're at. That'll help you not procrastinate. You know, don't make promises of something. You're like, yeah, I'm probably not going to pull that off. I don't even know how to do that. Then why'd you say yes? Because no was so hard, right? No was so hard. And I'm not, if I say, you ask me a question and I say, no, I'm not showing up, or no, I'm not doing that, I am actually not responsible for your response to that. If I say it very loving to you and this is my thing, and you fall apart, I'm not responsible for your emotional state just because I said no. Right? We have to remember that. So if we're going to respond with our ability, we start in the small things, like I actually do have the ability to put the cart in the thing. Right? I'm at Target, put it in the deal. I actually do have the ability to put my toothbrush away. Now, I might not always get to everything, and it's not about being a perfectionist, like how clean can I make this? It's like, no, I'm going to finish my thought. In the middle of a painting a picture and it's been 5 years and it's still not done, you might want to finish that thought. Just saying, right? And don't go get a new thing until you finish the old thought. You'll actually help your brain to not procrastinate. And then your yes will be your yes and your no will be your no. Did that help out? Yeah. So always respond with your ability. That means you have to have a good estimate of yourself. Someone came in here and I'm like, I believe, Pastor Mary, you'd be great at being a brain surgeon. And I just think if you come with me tomorrow, we could save this person. I'm like, okay, yeah. They're going to die. I'm just going to say, they're probably going to die, you know, or it ain't going to come out, you know, sew the thing on. I don't know. But because I have the ability in me with training? Yeah, but I don't have the training. So I can't commit to something I don't have the training for. But when people have been traumatized, they've been pushed. Well, why aren't you coming, Bonnie? Like, so what are you doing then? You can't just say no, you have to. Well, what are you doing? Well, I was going to do, really? You could do that a different time. We could be on this for a good 15 minutes until I get the control. And she goes, oh, okay, I'll come. Right? So there is a time and a place for the push. If I show up in your neighborhood and I know you're using meth, I'm going to push you and you're going to get mad. And I'm going to be okay with that. Right? That doesn't mean we're throwing down. I'm going to be in your face though and be like, dude, what are you doing? Somebody has to question that. And there you go, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to leave it there because I'm not getting another telephone call. Right? We had 2 this last week that are gone. That's 10 this year. In my sphere of influence. right? So there's a time and a place for push. But just in everyday stuff, all you have to do is go to someone's house and they're serving food and you just say, no, I'm not eating carbs. So I'm good. No, I'm good. No, but serious, these donuts. But serious. And then I'll be, one's not going to hurt. And they'll just push. It's like, what's wrong with my no? And then you don't want to be like, no, because they're trying to be kind to you. So it does put you in a kind of a weird spot. You just got to smile and say, no, I'm good. And let it get really awkward, and then they move on to somebody else. Right? But if we started with the thought like, today I'm just not eating carbohydrates. Right? Just not doing sugar today. Just today, you will find everybody comes out of the woodwork. And even the lady at the bank will be like, you sure you don't want a sucker? I know there's no kids in the car, but we have some extra. And you're like, what is wrong? Why is everyone after me? It's if you say, say to yourself, Lord, I'm going to fast this week. Oh, you will get invited to everything that pertains to food, right? So there's something about it. So we have to know how to finish the thought. So don't bite off more than you can chew by making some big commitment. Prove to yourself, I actually finished that. That was awesome. That's why we don't do it in this particular class, but there's probably going to be something starting on Thursday night. We may do that where in NA, I don't know, do you guys give the tags out? Right? Part of that is because that's a marker that says, I finished the thought up until that point. It's been 3 days. It's been 3 months. We have to have that marker, especially if you're coming out of addiction, because you will forget. It will seem like I haven't been doing this hardly at all. Actually, it's been 3 months. Oh, yeah. I made it 3 months because of how the brain has been trained by the drug itself. Make sense? All right. And the other one I want to deal with is rejection. Somebody had called in and they had this question. So if you're watching tonight, best if you're here when you ask these questions, but I'm gonna give it to you. There's something different, and I always say there's something different about if I reject you, I can do that face to face. I can say, I'm done with you, Alice. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, you know what? And I'm like, yeah, fine. Let's take this outside. And then I'm not talking to you anymore. And then you're like, well, I'm not talking to you. And we got a whole lot of rejection going on. And then, we know when we walked away, we rejected each other. Right? Neglect is a whole different thing. Neglect is like you're not there. Out of the two, if this was like you had to choose what your battle was going to be, are you going to fight with neglect or rejection? Which one are you going to choose? Reject? You'd go neglect? See, yeah. So everybody's heart's a little bit different, but neglect would just basically mean I don't even care about your basic needs. In fact, you don't even exist. You're talking, it's like, nope, don't see you. It's like a hand in your face. Oh, it'll escalate you, but then after you're escalated and you drop down, you just feel like your guts, you're going to cry right out. Everything's just going to come out because it's so, the feeling of I don't exist is so intense. Rejection is I do exist, but I'm not enough. Right? So neither one of them are good for us. Right? And some of us have had neglect rejection. And it gets really dizzying almost. And so the feeling that we can have out of rejection is like, did I somehow cause this, that I am not enough? Apparently there's something wrong with me. I am not enough. And then we'll base that on the one person's opinion that we want to be enough for. Like, I want this guy to really like me. And somehow I'm not enough. So to the whole world, I'm not enough. Well, that's off. But our world, especially in addiction, our world can get right here in front of us. And it's just this. We can't see farther out. That's what causes procrastination. We're not seeing cause and effect. Like, actually, if you don't put the card away at Target, the effect is going to be somebody's car is going to get scratched, or somebody could get hurt, or some grandma could run into it and trip. Or I mean, there could be a cause and an effect, but we're not seeing it. We're just thinking in the moment, like, I just don't feel like putting it away, right? Rejection has a cause and an effect. In the end term, it really gets you to believe you are not enough. Then tied to being not enough is what? I deserve to be punished. I don't deserve what everyone else has. God cannot love me. He's really not about blessing me. You know how it works for me. We'll start making those comments like, without me, or, well, I ran into a car and then I got out of the vehicle and I tried to talk to the officer and I tripped and I scummed my knee. But you know how it works for me. And we'll actually predict how we're not enough. Like we're the ones who are just born to be punished. That comes from the root of rejection. It goes all the way back to that. Neglect just says, does anybody know I'm here? You didn't know? Hello? I had feelings. Oh, I guess didn't matter. Hello, I counted for something. Hello, did you know I took care of all this over here? He's like, what? Huh? You just don't exist. And you're wandering around just lost out of that feeling. So sometimes addiction or coming out of that kind of a trauma, we'll use addiction to punish ourselves. Well, since I'm not enough, rejection will say, well, I'm not enough. So by golly, I'm going to be enough, right? And so what do we do as women even? Friday night, we get on a little mini skirt. We're going to strut our stuff, and we got to smoke something, do something, or whatever. And we're like, we're out there because by golly, we're going to be enough. And you're like prostituting yourself, and then come home and have to go through that whole process again. Even if somebody does look at you, it won't feed that love hunger because you're really hungry for love. And so it's kind of like eating sugar. You eat it, but you're still hungry. Sugar does not fill you up. That's why you can eat the whole thing of Cap'n Crunch. You're like, I'm on my 5th bowl. It's not doing anything for me, right? Well, try doing that with meat. Yeah. Or even more, people will look at a whole thing of beans or even raw beans, and they'll be like, well, that ain't going to fill me up. Try eating it once. Right. Vegetables fill you up. Right? Because your body recognizes that's a real food. And it'll register that you're full and you'll, move on with it. So there's something about that trick of feeling like you're not enough that will make you have to prove that you are. Now you add to it, I also have to prove that I'm here. Right? I love the sound, and don't get offended if you've got this or whatever, but I love the sound of loud motorcycles. I just do. Now, my husband's completely opposite. The smoother it can sound is, But I like the Harley that's sitting there and it goes, potato, 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 potato. That's how it sounds. Blim, blim, potato, 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 potato. And so I just love, and I love the smell. I love the smell of snowmobiles. My husband comes in after riding a snowmobile. That's like an aftershave. That's like, woo, for me. I don't care about the stuff you buy at the store. I'm like, come here, let me smell you. I mean, there's something about that. But in that, sometimes we get so loud because we want to be heard. Right? Or we're driving down the road with a truck that's so pumped up so high, so whatever, because you're like, we do notice you, okay? I'm not sure that's safe just in regular traffic. You might want to take that to mud running or something like that, then that's fine. But why are we doing this, right? There's something about, but I will be heard. Having to have the last say. How many of you have to have the last say? Yeah. Yep. There's just something about the last say that, even if you whisper, you're like, well, that's stupid. Excuse me? I thought we finished this conversation. Yeah, well. You still had the last say. You can walk out of there and just be like, I had the last say. That's a way of saying, I do exist. I got you. See, it produces this kind of stuff in us when we feel like nobody sees us. Wintertime, right now, if you suffer with neglect in your background, it's rough. It's rough. You've been alone all week, right? Everybody's been gone. Thank God for meetings and things like that, and Bonnie bringing you in, because that's rough. And if you've been neglected and had rejection, which I'm aware that you have, and you're sitting there alone with your own thoughts, this is what you'll start hearing. Anything you go to do, you're not enough. You're not enough. Who cares if I do this or not? I don't exist anyway. I might as well go get high because I don't exist. Sometimes we go get high because then it lets us know, see, I got arrested. Everybody sees me now. I actually exist. They're going to call my parents, right? There's going to be this go on, or whoever, relatives, who's going to bail me out? And then you end up in the end feeling like, yeah, and I'm back to neglect. They didn't even come. They didn't show up. They didn't whatever. That's not working. But we get desperate to feel like we're going to go, I got to break this off of me. And it can become very spiritual. You know, the demonic realm likes to just sit where there's neglect and where there's rejection. The root of rejection is kind of like, it'll sit there. The root of rejection has all kinds of other things attached to it. And it's the theme, you're not enough, or you don't exist. How many of you here have felt that you're not enough in some area? It's usually the area you got rejected in. And that's usually the area, if you did try some, you ain't doing it again. I tried singing, and I'm not doing that again. I tried drawing, and I'm not doing that again. That's what people will do, right? My daughter, Felicia, if you come over to Word Life, she plays the piano there and sometimes the drums. And very gifted. And I'm an artist, right? And I never was with my kids, you're going to learn to draw or whatever. They just were artsy-fartsy, and we're doing different things. But when she was at school, people are like, all you can draw is stick people. You can't draw. So I didn't know that was happening to her. And so that was like a quiet hurt. You're not enough. So then she started to confess that. Well, I can't draw. I wish I was like Mom, or I could draw, but I can't draw. Right? Oh my goodness. Last couple of years I found that out, and I'm like, that's stupid. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Amen. The gifting of God is in you, and actually anyone can learn to draw. The illusion is if you don't draw, you look at a picture like that picture of the lion there on the wall, you'll be like, oh, I wish I could draw like that. Wouldn't that be cool? You can learn how to draw like that just through technique. The people who have that extra gift just do it, right? And they haven't been in the classes, and you're like, but anybody could draw. Any of you could draw that. Now, even me saying that is going to challenge that area, and you're like, she doesn't know. You don't know me. Do not put a pencil in my hand or whatever. Well, guess what? I said, start with something small and finish the thought. And she is drawing the most beautiful pictures of birds right now. She's like, I didn't know I could do that. I'm like, I know, right? That would be like somebody telling me I couldn't be a brain surgeon. Well, there's a part of me that when people do that, I'm like, man, if I had time, I'd go show you I could. Because you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You're going to have more of a gifting towards certain things, but you can do a lot of what you think you can't do. Just because someone else told you. I've heard people who are like, and God, you are King. And you're like, oh, Lord, that just went down my spine, right? But they got some voice lessons, and guess what? They can sing on tune now. It's not a sentencing. How hard do you want to work on it? So what is it? This I didn't plan on doing, but what is it that you've been rejected in that said, you're not enough? That then you concluded, if that's part of it, rejection says I'm not enough equals I ain't doing it. Well, then you go over here and you get rejected, not doing that. I'm not going here. I'm not getting in water. I can't swim. I can't do this. I can't. Well, what is it that you're going to do? What's left? Right? So part of finishing the thought is to pick something you thought you couldn't do and do it. Not come over here and think you're going to draw like that tonight, but just add to your stick figure. Learn how to doodle a cartoon. Finish the thought. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, hold on a second. I didn't know I could do that. I'm finding out I can do things I did not know I could do last year. But I'm finding out I can do them. And I'm like, I had no idea I could do this. For a long time, I was like, I'm not good at accounting. That's Vern. He reads the tax books every year. You know those lovely books they put at the front that are thick? And he's like, I got to buy one. He buys one every year and reads it to make sure he knows how the churches are to be set up, how our personal finances and everything. And I'm just like, if I have to do it, maybe in prison and I had nothing else to do, I might, but I'm like, but so I would always confess that. Well, I can't, I'm not good at accounting. I don't, blah, 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 blah. Not true. It's not true. In fact, I've come to the point where might not have those books memorized, but I like making sure there's a flow chart and there's all this kind of stuff. Years ago, no. But I had to start somewhere and finish the thought. Right? What we do is we come from nothing and we want to be way over here. If I can't draw that lion, then I'm not drawing. You're going to pick the biggest thing ever, huh? Going to get all detail with the hair and the home. All right, give it a shot. Right? Usually you don't start out with the biggest thing ever, just like in Christianity. Well, if I can't pray for the sick and I can't do this or whatever, I'm not a Christian. What? Everybody has a starting point. Finish the thought. Then show up for church again, finish the thought. Then go to a Bible study and finish the thought. Then read on your own and finish the thought. Next thing you know, you're moving in the gifts of the Spirit. It isn't for those gifted people. God gave those gifts to all of us. Right? So, we procrastinate out of those two emotions. Rejection and I don't exist. Well, are you going to show up for that? No. I don't exist anyway, is what we just said in translation. I can translate when somebody talks like that. Well, no. I also can listen to toddlers and translate them. Sometimes they'll be at the term, Mom, and I'm like, well, she wants that over here. She just said this. You got to slow her sentence down enough and you'll get what she said. But we say that, and we're coming out of the spiritual feeling of I am not enough. And it is a lie from the pit of hell. Not true whatsoever. So as a pastor, tonight, I'm looking around. I don't even know all of you that well. I don't know your childhood and all that kind of stuff, but there are gifts sitting here. There's some good stuff sitting in this room. Not being used, not being developed, but it comes here on Saturdays inside of you. What would happen if you let that go just by finishing a thought? You ever look at a person who works out and be like, oh, man, I wish I could be so cool, have a six pack like that, Right? Right? I got grandkids that will come up to me. Grandma, check my gut. Do you feel anything? I'm like, you're 6, but all right, I'll give it a little feel there. Because they've been doing sit-ups or whatever it is, But there's a lot of work that comes into that. Well, then we'll look at it like, I just wish I could do that. And then we look at what they had to do, and you're like, no. Well, because you got to go detail to detail. Learn to finish the thought. Just finish the next thought. If you're trying to change something, don't try to change it all. Pick something and change that thing and bring it. Just to be able to say, I put my toothbrush away every day. Your brain needs to know that you're consistent on something. Yeah? But if you believe you don't exist, why be consistent? If you believe you're not enough, what for? Right? If you're not enough, why am I even involved in this? Then someone will do an advertisement. You got to come out to our Monday night study. It's going to be so good, right? Monday at TBO. Come on. And we're like, yeah, we should sign up for that. It'd be so awesome. 2 weeks into it, like, where are you? Low. Just like, I'm going to sign up for this workout class or whatever. If you believe you're not enough, the first challenge that's going to happen is you won't finish the thought. If you believe that you don't exist, then why does it matter that you show up? Why does it matter to finish the thought? I did not know it was going to go this way tonight, but these are the questions that came in. Just trying to see. And yet, I'll read the same scripture that I was just going to read a short part here in Matthew chapter 8. It says, Jesus cleanses a leper. When Jesus came down from the mountain, large crowds followed him. Yeah, because they heard the advertisement about him. Yeah, you should go check out that guy. People's eyes are just growing into their sockets and their legs are being healed. They're like, yeah, we should go check him out. Yeah, right? And so large crowds, they didn't know him. They heard about him, but they didn't know him. And so they were going to show up. And a leper came up to him and bowed down before him, saying, Lord, if you are willing, you're able to make me clean, or well, is how one of the translations say it. Jesus reached out his hand and touched him, saying, I am willing, be cleansed. Immediately, his leprosy was cleansed. In some sense, he could have said it this way. And a leper came up to him, bowed down before him, saying, Lord, if I exist, would you touch me? Lord, if I'm enough, would you be willing to heal me? That's how we approach God. When we're wondering if we're enough or if we exist, we'll approach him like that. Well, I wonder tonight, there's a prayer line. Friday night, we're going down to Calvin Woods. I don't know what's going to happen. Probably nothing for me, but I'll go. Because I don't even know if God knows I exist, is the sensation. It's a feeling. Now, if I asked you that cognitively, is that how God feels about you? Oh, no, he cares about me. But the sensation doesn't come from the head. It comes from here. It's a gut feeling when you're rejected. It's a gut feeling when you've been neglected. And it's a very scary feeling to come into a church where people hug. Or we say, hey, we didn't see you last Saturday. Miss you. Okay, that's getting... People translate that like, that's control. But really what we're saying is like, hold on a second. I've been used to not existing. This has got to be a trick. Somebody wants something from me, right? This is a lie. They want my money. Because I know you're also rich. I'm just being blunt about it. If I could just get that $5, that's a desperate way to serve God. So no, there's something about coming into a small group first, if you have to, and finishing the thought. I'm here. I go to Hope Dealers. Consistent. Constant. Yeah, baby. Right? And then you know, yeah, I did that. I did it for 6 months. And now God's directed me to, maybe it's not here, to go to this thing here, but I'm going to sign up, and I'm going to stay consistently constant. I'm going to start a thought, and I'm going to finish the thought. You know why? Because I exist. I'm enough. I'm enough to be sober. I'm enough to go to God and say, God, do this. Are you willing? No, we're going to come and say, God, when I come before you, I know you're able to make me clean. See, that's when you know that you're enough. He would have died for just you. That's how much he loves us. So if he was walking through the crowd and you were a leper and you knew that you were oh, this is God. The God I've been waiting for, Messiah, is here. Right? The feeling would be like, oh, he's going to heal me. Like the woman with the issue of blood, she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be whole. This guy is like, well, Lord, if you're willing, right? If you're willing, would you make me clean? He looks at him and he takes his hand. He said, I'm willing. He reaches out his hand to a leper, right? Which says, I ain't afraid of this. And I'm willing, be cleansed. Immediately his leprosy was cleansed. So what's your approach to God when it comes to the addiction? When it comes to where you're living right now? When it comes to the thing he has you doing, the project you're working on right now might just be to stay in safety. I don't know how to stay in safety. I got to bust out and go do something crazy. I only stay safe for 3 weeks. You don't understand. So practicing safety really is I have to have structure, and I'm going to stay in it. I started this thought. I'm going to finish it. That sometimes is the hardest thing to do. But you can't move on to the next things till you do that first thing. You get to safety. Why do you get to safety? Because you count. Because you exist. And because he is willing. So I got to stay in my structure. Whatever the structure is that the Lord has you doing right now, I got to stay in my thing till the work is complete in me. But if we're used to, okay, on a good day, when I feel like I exist, my structure is easy. I just walk around in my structure of safety. I mean, I can believe God for all kinds of stuff. Somebody touches the pain, the core pain in our heart, and it gets triggered. I can't stay in the structure anymore. I don't feel safe in your safety structure. And then you would be so much safer outside your safety structure. A little noggin thinking there doesn't make sense. Right? But I'm going to leave because I need to leave my structure so that I'm safer out here where I don't even know where I'm going and it's unsafe and I don't have any boundaries. Right? Because I'm starting to feel so unsafe in the structure. Why? Because there's a sensation there that just says, this is starting to look like I'm enough. And I don't know if I can do this. Just think that I'm enough. Like I could actually count. Like we could actually move on to something. Like I could actually go get a job. Like I could do the thing, start something and finish. Me. We're talking about me. That I'm going to be I am enough. See? And then even when that God gives that over to you and you're like, no, he loves me. I'm enough for him. Because he made me enough. I can't do anything so amazing. But he said, that's all right. You're the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. You're enough. I love you. Right? You're my child. And so in that, then we have to learn how to sit. That's the next stage of sitting in that safety and practicing being enough. Practicing being present, which means I'm here. I love when we go to Teen Challenge. It's the simple things I learn something from. And, usually before I get up and speak or they do praise and worship, we'll be there and they'll be like, Steve Johnson. And they'll be like, here, right? This one's here. This one's here. They don't have to do that before a chapel. I mean, someone could just look. They could have teams of it. But there's something about saying, I'm here. I'm present. Hello. And then I love Brainerd Teen Challenge for Men. Then a lot of times when they answer, people will celebrate them in that moment. Woo! Yeah, you're here, yeah. And they'll do stuff like that. And it's not making fun. It's a way of saying, we recognize you are present. And through God, you are enough. Right? So then, but here's what's hard. You get in a place like that, and you come out, all of a sudden, are you enough for the world? You have to learn how to deal with people's trash talk and the things that are around. And you have to create your own structure of safety. So I had someone say this to me. I probably said this years ago myself. Why does everything work? Isn't it tiring after a while? You're like, I got to do the safety thing, and I got to grow. That's growing. Growing pains, I had a couple boys that grew so fast over a summer. I mean, they would cry in their sleep because their knees would hurt. You know? Now, my one son who's 6'5", he's got this, I can't remember what a nodule is called, but it like sticks out from his knee about this far. Because when you grow that fast, you don't have the cushion. It takes your body a while to put the cushion in between there. So you shouldn't be playing football like we put our kids out to do. And we didn't, but because we knew that, thank God. Because all it takes is one time getting hit, and you got no cushion in between, your knee's jacked for life, right? And so, but it's still, because he was walking bone on bone, it started to grow this extra calcium spot. And then it just stays there. So there's something sometimes we're in a spot where we grow so fast, it hurts. But it's what it's going to take to get to that next thing. And we have to know then, hey, if he's going to grow in spirit like that, no, don't put him in football and don't have this going on or whatever. You shouldn't be out skateboarding just anywhere. You whap your knee. Give it a few months until you get the cushion in between, right? Know your body. Know what's going on, right? Because you're enough. And you're loved. But you're growing, and sometimes it hurts. Make sense? So now we got 3 different subjects going because of the question, but they all tie to each other. And our approach to God is very much the same way. Like I just talked with a person before service when we were talking about, if you're coming up, if God's at the peak and you got your marriage or your relationship, and you got someone over here, and you're over here, and this is a triangle. The closer you'll get to each other is because you're on your journey toward God. But we like to work down here to impress God who's at the top. Rather than like you over there working on yourself, yep, I'm over here working on myself. And the more we do that, the closer we get to each other, right in the heart of God. Right? But you have to know that you're enough to want to climb that mountain. Climbing mountains do things to your brain. Just the same way Christian growth will do things. Like, for instance, we had our last biological children were 14 months apart. So to climb a mountain, we would put Jesse in a backpack, or I should say Felicia in a backpack and Jesse in the front carrier. And then sometimes my husband would have to carry our 3.5 or 4-year-old, Eric, our oldest son, to get up a mountain, right? So I'm not talking about, because a lot of times if you haven't lived in mountains, you're picturing us hanging from rocks. You know, we got all these ropes and our babies are on. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going up trails, and then the trails become steep where you have to climb over rocks and things like that till you get to the top of the mountain. And the big reward on all the tops of the mountains, and Bonnie, you've driven up into some of them and stuff, is they got this glass bottle, these little halfway broken pencils with a little piece of paper. And you put your name on that, and it's like, I was here. That's your reward. You're like, we did all that. And now our name is in there, right? You know, it's like, but there's something that happens when you're on the bottom part of the mountain. That's when it's just like, yeah, we're going to climb this mountain. I mean, we got this. You got your water bottles? All right. We got this. And there's a lot of chatter and talk, and we're so excited to see wildlife. And, you know, about 4th way up, you're like, yeah, this is a little harder. Because the bottom part of the trail usually winds, and then it starts to get really steep, right? To get to that last part is when it's the steepest. That's when you really need it to be the least steep, because you're wore out. But on your way up, there's some questions that go through your mind, like, why are we doing this? Who's that? Was it you that decided we're going to go? You know? And then the kids are like, Mommy, and you're just like, just be quiet. We're trying to get to the top. I mean, you can get mean halfway up the mountain, because it's like there's a stretch. You can feel the muscles in your legs getting all weird. And we didn't know back then to drink tons of water. You get mountain sickness. So sometimes you get like a headache because you don't have as much oxygen. Well, part of that cure is just like downing water like crazy. So our poor kids, we're just dragging them. Come on. You know. But when we're at the bottom, everybody, you know, they're just little. But everyone's like, yeah. Just didn't have a choice because he was just in the backpack. But at the same time, we got pictures of us all at the top of the mountain. We're all smiling. It's all wonderful. But that journey in between We started out nice people, not so nice, almost mean, and rejoice, right? Sometimes Christian growth feels like that, right? Or recovery feels that way. You're like, yeah, so I just signed up for Hazleton. I'm going in. It's really going to be great. They have great doctors there. And about a fourth of the way you're up, they're like, start getting mean. This is stupid, right? You don't say stupid like stupid. This is so dumb or stupid. And we'll start dragging up because we're mad. Because we can feel that it's demanding a growth from us we haven't been through before. And it hurts. The crazy part is, though, there is a point you cross over. If you're only fourth way up, you're like, maybe talk me out of it now, right? But if you never climbed a mountain, you're thinking, no, we can do it, But if you have someone else coming down that's negative, that's the part they can talk you out of it pretty easy. Because, it's so steep, you don't want to go up that. That's hard. You don't want to, whatever. And if you just go, well, then maybe we'll just have a picnic. You never make it to the top. But you get to that halfway point, it's like, I didn't come this far. Right? This hurts like crazy, but then you're like gritting your teeth like, we were making it up this mountain. Right? And you told all your friends you're going to be at the top of the mountain. But there's a growth thing. And it's just the wildest thing, especially if you're taking a family who's going to fall out first, or a bunch of friends are going up who's going to fall out first. That's kind of like recovery. Y'all sign up for the same mountain climb. Sometimes the group has to go back down and grab the person. They can hardly breathe. Here, drink some of my water. Come on, we got to go. And you're dragging them up the mountain. And sometimes you can only drag them so far, and you have to let them go. But you have to be determined. I started this thought. By golly, I'm going to finish it. And don't feel guilty that some were left behind. Because you can't carry everyone up the mountain. I know that's the Christian thought, like we'll put them on here and then, I'll drag this one and, this one will be on my hip. No, you cannot. You have to save yourself. If you can, with the energy you have, help somebody get back up again. Help them take a break, talk to them or whatever. We're going up the mountain. That's great. But there comes a point where it gets painful enough that it's like, I left so-and-so back down the mountain about a mile. Hope they make it. I got to go. What's your goal? And is your goal to finish the thought? If it's not, that already tells me you don't think you exist and you don't count. You're not enough. Because the crazy thoughts that'll go through your mind and invest, you know what I'm talking about. When you're exercising, you're like, we're going to do 50 reps of this. And you're like, it sounds good. All right. And you get to 35 and you're like sweating. And there's these crazy thoughts like, stop now, stop now. I mean, it'll just go through your whole being because it hurts. Right? And you got to have somebody there help talk you through it or whatever. Do you see it? Where do we get our strength from? The Lord. The world says you just dig deeper within yourself and pull that strength out. I dug around in there and there wasn't much. I mean, I was in situations where like, I don't know, I didn't see anything. You used up the last of yourself and there ain't nothing there and you still got 5 miles to get up this mountain. So it has to be super on my natural, which means I have to be able to go to God. But if I approach God like, if you are willing, my Lord. Yes, please, one more piece of bread, my Lord. Like those, and you're a beggar, if you would grace me with no. He's like, I'm willing, be healed. I'm willing, super on your natural. I'm willing, get up again, I'll give you strength. I'm willing. I'm telling you, it's my will. That's why I put the ing on the back of it. My will is my precepts, my commands, my ways of doing things. That's what the word will means. So if he's inging the word will, that means I'm going to do that in you. I'm willing. Whew. And then next thing you know, you're going to be standing up on top of the mountain. And you're like, I don't even know. Right? And I like my kids that are older now, and they've got kids of their own, Kristen and Jesse, I don't know what mountain number they're on, but once they conquer one, then they're like, oh yeah, we got to go get that one over there. Right? Because you know, this is the process I'm going to go through. I got to drink this much water. Because I finished the thought and I figured it out. I finished the thought and I figured it out. And next thing you know, I'm up at the high peaks. I don't even know how to explain the top of a mountain. Because you literally can see for miles and miles. You are in one of the high places of the earth, and it's just like, vast all the way around you. It's a very, very powerful feeling. But when you start on the trail, there's trees, and you can't really see. You just see around corners. That's all you see. Like, is there anything up there? I don't know. Walking around, your whole concentration is on rocks and, things like that. Till you get close to the top, it starts to open up. And you're like, oh, that's why everybody does this. But if you pay attention to just the bottom, they don't look like much. That's where we start. You see it? If you came here tonight with that feeling that you're not enough, God just took these questions that came in and went, look at me. I want you to know you exist. I want you to know I have seen you from the beginning. I knit you together in your mother's womb. I put gifts in you. Yes. And you're going to do great things. Yeah, but the world says, I don't care. Yeah, but my grandma said, whatevs. The only one who counts when it comes to your destiny is him. Everyone else is just on the trail, either talking smack or encouraging you. So that's what you do when you're headed up the mountain, and it's getting to be like, and you're dragging up there, and you stop by a tree. You're breathing differently, and some 80-year-old guy goes running by in his little shorts and a shirt. Hey, it's a great day, and you're just like, it happens. And now you don't have an excuse, but you wanted one at that point. You wanted to be able to say, nobody knows how hard this is. We got little kids and everything. Literally, we've met a few people, 80 years old, popping up the mountain. They run all the way to the top, and they stand up there and do stretches. And you're like dying, but you can't show them that. You're like, okay, we're going to write our names. I feel crippled. Right? And the kids, literally, then on the way down the mountain, you think, oh, that's going to be so much easier. Well, they're dead weight because they pass out from lack of oxygen, from going to the top, and from exertion because they're little. Because however far we're walking, they're actually walking a lot farther. So that's why you have to carry them. And I think God carries us at times when we're little. But there is a point where it's like, get up and walk. Get up and walk. Come on. Come on. Follow me. I'll show you how to do it. And you ever follow somebody in the mountain area or whatever to cross a creek? Something like that. And there's rocks and there's water. You don't want to get your feet wet. So you have to do and some people can figure that out real easy, And other people, it's like the wrong rock. You just fell in, And so you watch the person who crossed first and you watch their pattern. God will show us the way and what rock to step on. You are where you are right now, and that's what it is. Create the safety and finish the thought. Right? You're going to finish strong. You're going to finish strong. So even being alone in the house, I was praying for you, right? Because I can't be running up there all the time. I was praying for you for this reason. She's in the middle of finishing a thought, creating a pattern. And it's hurting her, but it's powerful. The same way as if I was going up the mountain very experienced and I passed somebody by and I'm like, oh, they're suffering like I suffered last year, right? I would say an encouraging thing to that person. Because encouraging means I'm going to put courage into you so you can go the next mile. That's what we're supposed to do with each other. Come on, you can make it. Everything I've seen you were going through, which has been a lot, right? You're that go-getter that just gets up again and be like, well, still got to go up the mountain. Got to go, right? Because you've come far enough that it's like, are you serious? We've come this far up the mountain, and then now you're going to try to talk me into going all the way back down, and I don't win on that end, and I don't win on this end? No, I'm going to win. I count. I exist. I'm here. If you've approached God where you've approached him in your prayer like as if it's kind of a gambling thing or a Russian roulette or a spinning of the dice, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe he'll answer, maybe he won't. We'll just check out and see if he's willing, because we are talking about me. We're going to pray over that tonight, that gets broken out of your life. Because the Bible says this, we come boldly before the throne of grace. Grace is what we don't even deserve, yet we walk right in the room. Hello? I am boldly before the throne of grace in my hour of need, and I shall ask whatever I want, and he is going to grant that according to his will. All I have to do is get in his will, and he's willing. He puts the ing on it. So we get in there, and he's inging it. It's awesome. It's awesome. So to begin with, when I asked what causes us to procrastinate, who knew it was going to go to this deep, right? So we just assessed ourselves, which is part of recovery, where you lay yourself alongside of truth and you go, measure me again. Well, did I grow? Did I come out of that? Right? Oh, still a little on that one. And the Bible says to give a good estimate of yourself. Don't be grandiose and don't talk trash. Be right there in the middle and be like, yeah, I was hurting for the last mile of that mountain climb. Thought I wasn't going to make it. Then Bonnie came by. She's climbed mountains before. And I said, what do I do? And she's like, well, here's some advice. Rest a little bit, be still, and know that he's God. Right? I'm going to give you some of my water, and I'm going to pray over you. And then let's go. I got to go. And part of watching that other person go will cause you to get up and go. So you don't want to run with people who are like, well, I only make it fourth way up. I don't even like mountain climbing. I don't know how that. But I know they said we're supposed to do it. My PO said I have to. I'm part of some recovery thing, and they want me to climb a mountain. It's so stupid. So we pretend that we're climbing. We try to get out of the climb. We waste more energy trying to get out of something than if we just did it. Get to the top of the mountain. Finish the thought. Right? This is why in the military, they'll put you in for 3 months, because it takes 3 months to form a lot of new habits, because they're coming at you strong. Like your bed is made, your toothbrush is put away. And if you didn't do those things at home, it's like you got 3 months for your brain to finish the thought. Because guess what? When we go to take a hill, right, and bullets are coming at us, we can't be like, well, I forgot to pack bullets. I don't see where we should have to use guns. It's so stupid. I mean, all of that kind of stuff. No, we are unified, and we're going to finish this thought. If it kills me, this is our assignment. We're going to finish the thought. That's why if you don't make it through boot camp, that it's difficult. Sometimes people can't make it physically through there. They might have an ailment or whatever that shows up. But I'm talking about like, this is stupid, and we walk off. It's because it's putting a pressure on the areas we procrastinate. And it's also the areas where we don't feel like we exist and we don't count. We're not enough. Not enough. Now, I'm also not really big into, you ever watch the show America, not Got Talent, but the ones where they're going through the... Yes. Thanks for healing my brain. I hate when I can't think of something. It's like right there. Like, come on, I got to get. But anyways, Ninja Warriors. And so they got to go through this whole deal to win in the end, right? By going through water. They got to hang from different things. They got to go through all kinds of stuff and that. I don't like whether I'm watching professional sports or whatever, which happens rare, but I don't like the whole, like, yeah, we knew we were going to win. And, the pride oozing, just cocky, whatever. You're like, I don't like that. But I do like when I see a person who's confident. Like, I worked all year on this, and I knew that part was going to be hard, but I really put effort into that, and I tried to figure it out or whatever. I mean, they're sharing the plan. But then you'll get those that are just cocky as ever, and you're just like, oh, turn the channel. I don't want to listen to them braggatory stuff, right? So part of us coming to a point is not all or nothing, right? We don't trash talk ourselves, and we're not grandiose. Not grandiose. We're just going to finish the thought. And every step you take up that mountain, finished another thought, finished, come around the bend, finished another thought, finished it. It's crazy when you're working out or you're going up a mountain like that, you're not talking because you're trying to breathe. And there's less oxygen the higher you get. You have to learn how to breathe through your nose or out your mouth. Even when you're exercising, it's best to not hyperventilate. So as you're doing that, though, you're very aware of your thoughts. That's what's really healthy about working out or climbing a mountain or something like that. All of a sudden, you see yourself, and you're like, I did not know this about me. I remember going up one side of the mountain, and it was like, I feel like crying right now, like a little kid. This hurts, but I'm not going to do that in front of my husband. But I am questioning, why am I at that place? You will see yourself. If you push through, you will see sides of you that are like, I don't think I like that side. Right? Now, my husband's not militant, but if he says we're going up the mountain, he just keeps moving. He is not the, like, I'm going to run up half the way. And just, no, he's consistently constant. I would have been, back in the day, I would have been like, let's keep moving. Got to move ahead. Get this kid. We're going to drag him. And we're going up the mountain because I want to get there first. And then all of a sudden you're like, and then you're in the back of the pack. Go, wait for me. Because you didn't stay consistently constant. It's the little things. Let's stand. It's the little things. He is willing. So if you approached him at all this week and said, or today even, and was like, I don't even know if you're willing to help me, you're like this leper. There's a belief that's false. God clearly knows you exist. And that you're enough. Yes.
I didn't have a problem being alone.
Yeah.
It was for me and him.
That's pretty cool.
Waiting for me and him.
Yeah.
And I put a little food on the plate for him, and I sat across the table from him.
I've done that.
Friday, I went to Candlelight Vigil.
Yeah.
Came home, made my turkey, and then went to AA that night.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, I made Christmas dinner. And it was me and him.
And you were sober. She was sober. She was sober. She was sober when she did it. So sometimes people will think, okay, that's a big stinking deal.
And I posted that I made dinner for me and God.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
meals.
Yeah.
And I put a plate and silverware and everything. I brought it.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So, see, it's practicing. She finished the thought. And you know what? She didn't just finish it or she gritting her teeth and I just got to make it a couple more hours until I fall asleep. It's like, actually, we're going to make a meal for Jesus. I want to sit down and eat with God. Yeah. Yeah. So you took the best of your moment and you climbed the mountain. I'm proud of you. Yeah. Let's give her a hand just because, right? Yeah. Father, we come before you in the name of Jesus, and we take the things that we've been wondering this whole time. Are you even willing to pay attention to this? Does this even count? Do I even count? We take those to your throne right now, and we roll the care of it over onto you, and just announce to yourself, I exist. I want you to say that out loud. I exist, therefore I am present. I exist, therefore I am present. I count. I'm here. And I'm learning to be consistently constant. So, Father, I pray right now in the name of Jesus for each person that you break off of them any yoke that says they're not enough, anything that's been burdening them that's so heavy that says they're not enough, they're inadequate. So what's the point of trying? The point of trying is because you're going to do the super on the natural, and because they count, Lord God. I want so bad for everyone to see how much they count to you. Move upon them and show them how to finish the thought. Thank you, Lord. So when you go home, hang your coat up. I'm just going to challenge you. Because here's what happens is if you go, I'll get to that later, then your hat will go over here, then your gloves will go over there, and you just kick your boots off. And the next thing you know, like, well, I was going to finish the dishes, but I'm not. See, it'll follow through. But just because you hung up your coat, it will challenge you to finish the rest of the thoughts. Yeah. We believe in you. Thank you for coming tonight. And let me know whether you message me on Facebook or however, this Saturday night, let me know if you need a ride out to Open Heavens. Also, let us know if you need a ride to Calvin Woods on New Year's Eve. That would be an awesome thing to blast in his service and just show up with a busload and some bands and whatever, okay? I'm going to guess that if it starts at 7, we should all be ready and here at 6. Okay? Just because we don't want to come in late and because we want to make sure we don't forget somebody. So these are the flyers, and so it'll say on the back when that is, where it is, how that is. Take it to Angie, whoever you got to get an okay from, and be like, come on out. So, okay? Did you have something, Pete? It's for everybody. Yeah. I want to see you there. Are you kidding me? You do? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I want to see you all there. It'd be really good. I love worshiping with you all. God bless you, and you have a good evening. It's going to be a good year. Yeah, it's coming up. Good year.